Under President Obama, new higher fuel efficiency standards were implemented, and that led to increasingly stringent requirements for auto manufacturers to keep up with this. They had to get the miles per gallon of their fleet average continually going up higher to try to reach parity with a number of other regions of the world that have been doing that. Traditionally, American cars have been bad when it comes to fuel efficiency, and this was a major effort not only to make our cars more competitive so that they would actually be bought in other parts of the world, but also to attempt to fight climate change and things like that. The rules were aimed at slashing carbon emissions from cars and light trucks by boosting fuel economy to a fleet average of more than 50 miles per gallon by 2025, which is ambitious. It's the sort of ambitious policy that we need. That standard is equivalent to roughly 36 miles per gallon in real-world driving once you break down the sorts of cars people are using, light trucks, all that sort of thing. And that was great. But you can kiss it goodbye because now the Trump administration is in charge and they don't like that at all. The auto manufacturers have been lobbying ever since those higher CAF standards were implemented. And under Obama, he wasn't having it. They did an analysis of the likely costs for car manufacturers, and by the end of the second term of Barack Obama, they had concluded that those costs were reasonable and the higher standards should be made permanent. Then Trump became president. And so the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has now concluded that a landmark Obama-era effort to cut vehicle greenhouse gas emissions is too aggressive and agrees with automakers that the standards should be revised. The agency has completed a draft decision outlining the rationale for easing fuel efficiency regulations for model year 2022 to 2025 cars and light trucks. So same EPA, completely different leadership and different motivating philosophy for it, being driven by, of course, the very business-friendly Trump administration. He believes that climate change is a hoax, and if it's a hoax, why should you make cars, the manufacture of cars, more difficult to try to make them more efficient?
And think about the fact that the EPA standards under the Obama administration not only helped to protect the environment, but it also would save the consumer money. Because if you increase the efficiency of that car and you need less gas in order to run that vehicle, well, then you're going to spend less money on fueling that vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a win-win. It was a win for the consumer. It was a win for the environment. These auto companies are still going to make a ton of money and have a ton of profit. But it doesn't matter. Under the Trump administration, under Trump, he will do anything and everything that's necessary to undo what the Obama administration managed to accomplish. Part of it is the fact that he just holds a grudge, and the other part is that he's just an idiot. And I'm not just saying that to insult him. He thinks that climate change is some weird Chinese hoax. And so, look, you elect an idiot, you're going to have idiotic policy proposals and policy changes, and that's exactly what we have when it comes to the EPA undoing these emissions regulations.
Yeah, so the cost obviously is that rather than doing more to attempt to ward off the worst effects of climate change, we're actually moving in the wrong direction. But there is a benefit. EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt said in a statement that the changes, which are estimated to save companies between $32 million and $100 million in annual compliance costs, underscore the administration's commitment to federalism. So your kids might live in some sort of Mad Max style hellscape, but we've put our fist in the air in defense of federalism. And yes, you might all die, and a lot of species will die off, and a lot of foods won't be available, and there will be gigantic inter and intra-country migration patterns because of the loss of water and arable farming land. But they saved $32 million.
No, but another case of privatizing gains, socializing losses. Because while these companies turn a larger profit because they don't have to deal with regulations that would help protect our environment, we as taxpayers are going to spend a lot more money in funding, disaster, organizations like FEMA, for instance, because of extreme weather conditions and things like that. That's just one example, by the way. So again, another example of the government looking out for corporations as opposed to us, the consumers, the taxpayers, the American people.
And this is incredibly disheartening because this is one of the top 3 or 4 areas that I warned against when people were, maybe Trump wouldn't be so bad, that we would move in the exact wrong direction in this. And so over the past year plus now, as they've rolled back more and more of the Obama environmental regulations, the methane and the polluting of streams and lakes and the opening up more coastal waters to oil exploitation, all of those things. And we keep doing reviews of that to remind you that there is a major difference between different sorts of presidents. And Barack Obama is a centrist or center-right or whatever you want to call him, but he raised massively the fuel efficiency standards for cars. Despite the strength of the auto lobby and all of that, he did that. And it was only going to get better from here on out. But now we're going to completely destroy that. And yes, look, if Bernie Sanders becomes president, he can try to once again establish those. But what did we lose? 5 years, 10 years, or maybe 15 years? How much more carbon is pumped into the environment as a result of that loss? Let alone all of the other areas where we've backslid on environmental regulations. Like, these sorts of things matter. And this is an example of that. Next time you buy a car, you're going to be reminded of exactly how important these things are.
If you become a member of the Young Turks, you'll be saying,
you know, I'm like a smart person.
So do it right now. tytnetwork.com/join. Get the whole Young Turks show every day.